The direction that the farm board is now going, and the possibility that there still be a ballot issue next year on the treatment of animals?
Jim, you want to talk a little bit about the board that got established by the voters?
You know, the Ohio voters overwhelmingly supported the Ohio Livestock Care Standards Board, and we're behind that 100%, and we're going to focus on that. And there are a lot of out-of-state activists that may want to have input, but we're concentrating on livestock here in Ohio and the future of livestock, and we're relying on that board to lead us in that right direction.
Are you satisfied with the compromise that Governor Strickland worked out with the Humane Society last year, or earlier this year?
Really, we don't know too much about the compromise. That was something Governor Strickland worked out with. There were 7 commodity groups that also signed off on that, and I'm interested in talking to them to get their input. But we're going to work hard to keep Ohio's agriculture driven by Ohio people and not out-of-state activists.
Look, there was an agreement reached that kept things off the ballot. As Jim said, we really don't know all the details of this. I think by and large, the agriculture community saw this as necessary to avoid a bitter fight that would have cost millions of dollars. But I'm going to make it clear, when outsiders want to come into Ohio to try to tell our farmers how to take care of their land and take care of their animals, I will be out early and often to say that that Ohio farmers are people that want to take care of the environment, take care of their property, take care of their animals, and we don't want to have a bunch of people from the outside come in and tell us what to do. So I will be very outspoken on that, but Jim will be a valuable advisor as we navigate this. Hopefully we won't be facing anything like that for a while. I would hope that that agreement was in good faith and means that we can get about our ag business.
And you're going to follow through with that agreement?
Well, I don't know what it all is. I mean, it depends what is in that agreement. I mean, I think the agreement, as I fundamentally understand it, was agreement reached with the chicken farmer and some things that said, okay, we're going to change the way we do business going forward. Other than that, I'd have to see what else was spelled out in there.
Why'd you pick Jim?
Well, I just have grown very fond of him through the campaign. It was really important for me to be able to connect with Ohio farmers, and he was instrumental in it. But there were other people as well, but he stood out because whenever we'd go somewhere and I needed to really understand something in a straight way, he'd pull me aside and say, hey John, here's what the story is here. And I think he'll be a very important advisor to me, not just on agriculture, but I think he's going to be very, very helpful in terms of participating and giving good advice to the entire cabinet and to me personally. And I've encouraged him to really pick up the phone, and we talk all the time anyway. In fact, he texts more than he talks, which is really unbelievable. He's a texting farmer.
You talked a lot in the campaign about businesses being overregulated. Is there something in the farming industry that you could cite that where you're really overregulated and that you yourself, you too, could do on your own without the legislature to kind of deregulate or go softer on some of these regulations?
Well, some of the issues are EPA environmental regulations that we certainly want to look at. I mean, we shouldn't be, we need to be good stewards of the land. And those are things that we're going to work on. But the permitting process and that goes through the Ohio Department of Agriculture is a pretty thorough process, but we need to expedite a lot of these things so we can get businesses moving in the right direction. And then there's also things like the amount containers are allowed to hold that ship our commodities throughout the state. And Ohio has a non-competitive, competitive edge in a lot of these where they have to ship fewer pounds per container. And so those are the kind of things that we're going to take a look at.
As you know, Bill, we've announced what we call the Common Sense Initiative. Mary Taylor is, in fact, meeting with Keith Faber even today to talk about how he can be helpful in terms of looking at all the regulations that hamper business. And anything that is out there, and we're going to do this systematically. I think the way that Mary is talking about this is to get us in a position of where we look at the most egregious problems that the state faces, to deal with that, and then to dig down through that 6-foot-high code. So we believe that it's a comprehensive program on jobs. 1, regulatory reform. 2, tax reform. 3, opening up the universities. 4, taking advantage of knowledge workers. It's a whole series of things, and regulation is a big issue. If you can't haul as much as other states can haul, you reduce your productivity, And frankly, people in the ag business will go other places. And this notion that Jim mentions with loss of agriculture businesses in this state, that's to Indiana, that's just not acceptable. We have to reverse that.
Why now? Why this appointment now? You have some time. This is one of the first ones.
Well, look, I felt so good about this, and frankly, the word was going to spread like wildfire if I didn't get it out, because the ag community is very concerned about their future. And on top of it, I wanted to come here. I wanted to make this announcement here. I want to get out of Columbus as much as I can. Look, there have been people around this state who have complained. Jim is here with a Toledo blade. I think they only see governors when elections come around. I intend to make announcements around the state. I intend to visit with people around the state, and getting in the car and driving a couple hours down here, taking some of my friends with me, it's great. So I want to be out and about, and in agriculture, I think this sends a message how serious we are about it. I think it sends an important message about the type of individual that we've selected who comes from small town Ohio. It sends a little bit of a message about this lake, which is a priority. And I've told people around the state that when Grand Lake St. Mary's hurts, we hurt in Youngstown. And when Youngstown hurts, we hurt down here in Salina. I mean, we have to think of Ohio as one team, and so it's great to be here back in rural Ohio, and it would be the first of many trips.
I'm very appreciative of him making
this lake. May also face Lake Erie and other
with the lake.
Can we just do this one at a time?
Sorry.
Look, I am going to focus on Lake Erie like a laser beam. In fact, I had a phone call today with a person that I've talked to preliminarily about being a point person on Lake Erie. Okay, I'm not going to get into any more than that, but Lake Erie is really important, and we know they have an algae problem there, but we know we have an algae problem in other lakes around Ohio. So we think that what we can learn here can be helpful in terms of what we do to head off problems in other places. But speaking about Lake Erie, you know, the Maumee River is critical. I talked to this gentleman today about Lake Erie and about focusing on it from the standpoint of economic development, keeping it clean, keeping it safe. I told him that Toledo has to be involved, so because of the Maumee, because of the connection. So it's comprehensive in many ways. I'm sorry, you had a question.
He actually started talking.
Okay.
Last question, guys.
Hey, what do you? How quickly after inauguration do you intend to name people to the Casino Control Commission, and how many appointments do you expect to make?
Well, however many I can. I mean, this casino commission is really important. We're not going to hurry into anything. The people that we will put on that are people who will have high integrity, great character. I'm not commenting on the people that are appointed. I haven't even really spent any time looking at who they all are. But the appointments on this commission are not going to be reserved for political types. This is going to be something that is really important to our state going forward. So we are in fact going to have a meeting this week on the issue and just begin to really dig down and think about it. But we understand the importance of it.
Is it, I mean, just as a follow-up, is it your hope or intention to name all the members of that commission? Would you hope that the Senate would reject the?
Yeah, I mean, I've been very clear. This is a very important. This is a very important commission, and I'm going to be the governor, and it's important that I have my say in terms of how we approach gambling in the state. I don't think it's been approached right. It's been hodgepodge, and I think we have to, slow down, comprehensive look. Actually had the governor-elect of Nevada came to see me last Thursday, and he's got a lot of ideas about the way you do this, and he was the head of the Casino Commission out in Las Vegas. He's a former attorney general. He was a former judge. He's got a lot of ideas, and we will do this thoroughly because you don't want to make a misstep here.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Governor-elect Kasich last Thursday and asked me to consider this, and no, I did not see it coming, Jim. It was humbling and it was a shock, but he asked me to consider, and after discussing it with my family and praying on it, we decided to pursue this wonderful venture.
Can I just, What kind of budget cuts are you expecting in the Department of Ag next year? And do you, off the bat, see some programs that won't be around?
No, I don't, and I don't know what kind of budget cuts yet, although we know we're going to have them. But I don't know any percentage yet. But I'm looking forward to hitting the ground running as far as getting a team together with good experienced people up there that know the budget, and looking at directions we have to go. And that was part of the question. Why did he announce this early? I'm glad he did, because this is going to be a new experience for me, and to have 2 months to plan and to look into things is going to be very valuable for me and for that department.
You mentioned you were a family farmer. You mentioned fish. I mean, were you involved with Grand Lakes or Grand St. Mary's here?
Grand Lake St. Mary's, as far as the
fishing?
No, I'm a former poultry and fish farmer, and we recently sold that to our nephew who runs the operation.
So you had hatcheries?
We raised tilapia and sold them down at Jungle Gym down in Cincinnati, if you're familiar with that. But I'm out of that altogether a little over a year now, and it was pretty good timing. I didn't have the time as a state rep to run the farm, and so we brought our other family members in, and then we stepped out a year ago. So,
were you just reelected to a third term?
Second elected term. My appointed term obviously didn't. I mean, so yes, it was my third term, but it was my second elected term. Yes.
Jim, your involvement with Grand Lake St. Mary's to this point, are you hoping to bridge some gaps with the Department of Agriculture and ODNR to see some things happen?
Yeah, we certainly can work together. And Jim, the farms that come under Department of Agriculture are permitted facilities. So of the 340 farms that are in the Grand Lake watershed, or 400 farms actually, only a handful of them are permitted. Now, if some farms are habitual violators, then there's a thing called chief's orders where they get shifted over to the Department of Agriculture, and then they would be under the Department of Agriculture, which is 2 inspections a year and a lot of records.
How will your background as a farmer shape restoration plans for Grand Lake?
Restoration plans? Well, when I had my farm, I was very proud of 2 environmental stewardship awards, the state and a federal award, and we just took a lot of pride in our farm. We are a typical farm in this area where we had more livestock than we had land to apply it. And so one of the reasons that we were chosen for that award, and this has been several years ago, by the way, was because we used creative practices to broker our nutrient byproducts or manure off the farm and sign up other farms. But that's part of being a permitted facility in the state of Ohio.